Just to record. Hi! I'm live! This is crazy! This is real? This is technology? Thanks for coming, everybody. Yeah, do it. Do it.
It's a teacher shush. I got it a lot as a kid.
Well, I want to welcome all you wonderful event and wedding professionals here this morning to our pre-meeting, which is our very first Collab Lab. So thank you so much for being here for this awesome experiment. Collab Lab is an idea that we've been moving around where we just want to kind of go an extra mile with the members to be able to really kind of expose you to new things, expose you to more education. So it's just going to be sort of some different things like some speakers, different ideas, maybe even delving deeper into some of the table topics that we put together and just kind of diving into those things and really working and collaborating with each other. So we're excited to have a really awesome guest speaker today. I'm not going to do him justice, so to give him a proper introduction, I would like to invite a good friend of mine for a long time, as well as a good friend of my father's, and an amazing, amazing entertainer in this industry with a great reputation. Please welcome from Bill Henry Entertainment, Mr. Bill.
Thank you, and thank you for welcoming my friend. This is the gentleman I'm going to introduce you to. I met in Las Vegas, Nevada, in a taxi cab, moving from a conference, from the conference to an evening a dining experience, and then we went and, piano bar, stuff you shouldn't tell anybody about in Las Vegas. The thing about this person when I first met him was that he takes on who he is and what he does for others in a way that is actually really moving and inspiring. Before I knew any kind of performer he was, I knew a little bit about the kind of person he was, and I got to know that in a small cab ride. Immediately we were friends, and that was 10 years ago, and we've been very close ever since. Since that day, we see each other like a reunion at that same conference every year. We talk to each other regularly, online or phone calls or videos, and we trade ideas and we inspire each other to be as good as we can be. He cares for his clients and for the people he serves in a way that is difficult to describe because it's that kind of. He's just that kind of person. I'm very, very, very moved that he is my friend, and I cannot believe how excited I am that you guys are all here for him as well. I've been trying to get him to speak in large groups, and he has done this in the UK, and the fact that he agreed to do this for all of you, and his first international appearance has him a little, but I think you're going to like him very much. My friends, please welcome my good friend, Mr. Alan Marsh.
Good morning. As Bill said, my name is Alan Marshall. I'm wedding DJ, master of ceremonies. I'm the national wedding DJ of the year in the UK. I've been a DJ, a paid DJ, for nearly 40 years.
Wow.
I'm one of the highest paid DJs in the UK as a wedding DJ. It all started for me when I was 5 years old. I've been a DJ since I was 5. My nan my grandmother, Nanny as I used to call her, I was Nanny's boy, used to entertain friends and family around the house. And I convinced her that could I bring Mum's record player and Mum's records around to play music for everyone? And she agreed. So I used to take her music. Back in those days, you used to have a spindle on it. You used to be able to stack about 8 records on. It was kind of Spotify for the 60s. And everyone enjoyed it. Now, over the years, through my childhood, at family events and family parties, I was that kid, always delving into everybody else's records. I was that CD kid that let him play music, we'll be fine. So, at every single family event, I was the guy who was always looking at the record player, playing the music. I loved it. It was my space. The music that I played were my friends. For my gran, when I was playing back originally, she used to love music like Elvis and Old Cher. That was a big favourite of hers. But everybody else, I got to play my friends. My friends were the songs, were the music. And I got to do that for everybody. It wasn't until I was 16 that I was paid the first time. The first time, I thought, hey, I'm a DJ. Up to that point, I was the guy who was playing music for friends. I just played music because I loved to do it. But my first job, which was a place in Tadley in the UK where I lived, it was a warehouse. Used to sell retails of white goods and beds and pretty much anything you could think of. Jenny was getting married. Jenny. And she came to me and she said, you're the music guy. You've got all the records. If I bring along my household stereo, will you bring your records along and just play them? I thought, well, that's what I've been doing for the years, the last 11 years. And she said, we'll pay you. What? Yeah, we'll pay you. Oh, fantastic. So I went to my dad. Now, sadly, my mum had passed when I was 13, so my dad was bringing me up. And he had a club book, and in the club book, there was a DJ system, 2 decks, speakers. It was all shiny. I said, Dad, can I have that? Can you buy it for me? I'll give you the money back. Don't think I ever did. But there I was, my first ever event I was being paid for. I had the day, I got my day job. Day job was at the warehouse. This was just money that I could take and buy more records. And at the end of the evening, everybody had danced. I got the bug. I was in heaven. I was doing something that I absolutely adored. I was getting to play music, and I'd been paid. And over the next few years, the next 27 or so years, this is what I did. I had no real clue about what being a DJ was, by the way. Being a DJ to me was just playing music that you loved and hopefully everybody else loved it. You know, occasionally I'd get requests. Pretty much most of the time I would play my music. So I kept doing that with no real clue, but as long as I kept doing it, felt I was getting better at it and better at it. I was just creating that kind of, if I do this thing, everyone seems to dance, so I'm going to keep doing it. Well, another wedding kind of changed everything again, and that was my wedding to Anna Winnie, my wife's in the back of the room there. And we were getting married, and I wanted, the one thing that was definitely a no-go was we were never going to go to a venue on our wedding day because that would feel like a normal Saturday for me, because that's where I spend most of the Saturdays doing other people's weddings. So we decided to have it at our house. So we planned everything to infinite detail. Everything had to be perfect because we were going to invite our friends, our family, our loved ones to this one day. So it came the day of the wedding. It was the hottest day of the year. Hot for England. Probably hot elsewhere, but it was hot for England. When we got back from the ceremony, the first thing we had to do was start work. We had to cut the cake because it was melting. Anna Marie had wanted a chocolate cake. We'd spent the previous 24 hours trying to stop it from melting, but knew that we needed to do that right away. So we cut the cake, and then we made sure that our guests were being looked after. We made sure they had a drink. We made sure they had a good time. We made sure they didn't go without anything. So it got to the end of our wedding day, and Anne-Marie looked at me and said, I'm feeling a little bit tired, I'll go head upstairs. I said, well, I'll be up in a moment. I'm just tidy up a little bit and then I'll come straight. Well, 2 hours later, after I'd washed everything up and I'd picked up all the bottles and I tidied the garden, because we had the wedding at our house, and I returned to my bride 2 hours later, I realised we'd worked our wedding. I'd worked on my wedding day. And I had a light bulb moment. Should there be someone that does this? And if someone does this, what would it look like? Because I had no idea, because remember, I'm just a DJ. That's what I do. I thought, I have no idea what that looks like, but yeah, so maybe someone needs to look after bride and groom and run around and do all those things. I mean, our friends had offered it, but of course we've done what anybody does when you're inviting friends around to the house, you make sure they didn't, and we're doing it for you. So it took about another 3 years until me and Anne-Marie were at a DJ conference in the UK. And we saw an American DJ, a gentleman called Ken Day, who was delivering a presentation called the Soft Sell. And what it talked about was specialization. Be the specialist, be the wedding DJ, because that's what he did. But be a specialist, because then you're considered the expert. I don't know. I looked at Anne-Marie and she looked back at me. I thought, well, weddings are the thing I love doing. The other events are okay, but weddings are kind of my thing. So I did a little bit of research. Through that research, I discovered a DJ podcast, which was hosted by a gentleman that would become my mentor, my coach, and a guy that would absolutely change my life, a guy called Mark Farrell. And he was talking about, there was these workshops coming up. And they were going to be held along the same time as Mobile Week, which is a DJ conference in Las Vegas. And there's spaces. Well, a small town guy from the UK thought, Las Vegas? I can't go to Las Vegas. That seems a dream. That's, I'm just a DJ guy. But I chatted to Anne-Marie. We decided, we've been listening to some of the podcasts which had said this. You can stop the day job and go and do DJing for a full-time job. Yeah, that's not me, definitely. So we took the plunge. I contacted them and I booked a seat on 2 of the workshops. So there were 2 two-day workshops. One about master of ceremonies and one about storytelling. Well, about 2 months before I was to travel out to Las Vegas, I got the phone call, the dear John, coming to the office. At that point, I was working at IBM. We're cutting back. I'm afraid there's not a job here for you. Yeah, this was Christmas. They always do it. They always pick their time, don't they? So after I picked myself off the floor and realised that my security blanket of a day job and my passion for being a DJ, I needed to make some choices. So we thought, we had a chat, myself and Anne-Marie, and I'd been toying with the idea, well, this full-time thing, what if it was really a thing? Let's give it a go. Now the problem was, at that point, the redundancy I was about to be given was exactly the same amount it was going to cost me to go to Las Vegas. So there was no wiggle room, I was either all in or all out. And I decided to bulk on one of the workshops, but I was still going to go. And then I'd have enough to pay the next month's mortgage. After that, who knows? But I had some DJ work lined up, so I thought I'd be okay. So I went out to Vegas, and as Bill mentioned a moment ago, I shared a taxi ride with him, and someone that I'd heard on the podcast, because he was on those podcasts, I got to make a friendship with fellow DJs that have become a big part of my life since. But I did the workshop. And the first day of the workshop, you had to step up to the microphone and do a good introduction, and they were going to video it. And then you sit down, and then they play the video and critique it. I had no idea. That was what my clients were saying. That was god awful. That was so bad. To the point that it came to the evening, and I found Anne way back in the UK in socks for about half an hour. Going, I can't go back in. I can't do this. And rightfully, the conversation led to the fact that, well, you haven't got a job now. We're kind of relying on you. Okay, I probably need to go back in then. So back in there I went and continued to do the following day. By the end of it, I was just relieved. I've done it. It won't hurt anymore. I chatted to my fellow DJs at the conference. I talked to Mark, my coach, my mentor. And suddenly, I thought about what I did in a different way. So I took the phone and looked at my prices. And some of my clients, not all of them, kept paying. To the point that I left my prices there. I was starting charging more. I thought, well, okay, I think I could do that. But I was doing it. I was charging that amount. So this went on for a few years. I attended many more workshops. Fast forward to a wedding. Well, a couple of years ago, I was actually at an event. It was about 17 hours I was on site. It was a long day. Typically, that for me is a normal wedding day. I'm pretty much there from about 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm lucky if I'm left by about 1 o'clock. We're helping with the ceremony all the way through to the last dance. That's pretty much what I do. And it comes to the end of the day, and like many wedding event professionals, I was exhausted. It's a long day because we are mentally spent and physically spent. Because it's this one day that really matters to this couple, and we get one shot. We don't get it. They get a shot. We take on that huge responsibility to make sure it's going to be as perfect as they've imagined. I changed out of my tux, and I went to strike the gear. Put all the gear back into the bag. And on this particular occasion, all the cables had been taped down and they weren't coming up. So I had to get down on my hands and knees. And I tugged at them and suddenly thought, oh, that hurt. But then put it back in my mind because I'd suffered over the years with bad backs, being torn. It's problematic. And then I went to get up. I couldn't stand. My legs had gone to jelly. Now, it's probably a good point to actually mention that 25 years ago, I was diagnosed with a condition called hereditary spastic paraplegia, which is a gating disease. It basically means that the nerves that go down the back of your spine don't send all the messages. So sometimes the legs don't work, or they feel tired, or on occasion, it will constantly feel like I've got cramp. The legs really hurt. So I've looked around quickly to see if anyone's noticed the fact, my predicament. Luckily, no one had. My embarrassment was saved. The stragglers from the wedding, the staff that were just busy packing everything away, hadn't noticed. But now I had to crawl on all fours, drag myself across the room to the wall where there was a chair perched to pull myself up. I managed to get up, stand. And then for the next half hour, gingerly packed all the gear into the van, and then went home, drove back home, and then when I got home, and then we came out to the van and helped pull me out of the van because by that point my back was hurting so bad and the legs just wouldn't work. And this happened over the next few months, the next year. This was a nightmare because I thought, well, what if my back goes at an event during an event and I can't continue to do what I promised I'm going to do? So I take precautions, I do everything I do to back that up. But I knew that I had this condition. And this condition, I was told 25 years ago that within 5 years, I was likely to be in a wheelchair. Not permanently in a wheelchair. I mean, if they diagnosed it today, it'd be probably one of those motorised scooter kind of things, because it was going to help with my walking. But I decided at that point that was going to be a thing. There was no way I was giving in to that, because, well, I wanted to be a DJ. I'd always been a DJ. I've been a DJ since I was 5 years old. Being a DJ in a wheelchair was probably one step too far for my clients to actually book me. Shouldn't be good, you know, we all judge. And then, well, the 24th of June 2018, it was Sunday morning. I just had a bath trying to relax and recover from the previous day's 17-hour wedding. I stepped out and dried myself in the towel, and I glanced across at the mirror, and there was Fat Al. Now let me explain who Fat Al is. Fat Al was me, 18 stone 4. Over the years, I put the weight on. Wasn't my fault, clearly. Big bunch. Like, there was lots of reasons why this would be. Most of the reasons were the fact that as a DJ, I was eating at 1 o'clock in the morning on the way home from an event. I was eating the wrong food, or you were attacking the buffet, which is fine if it's once in a blue moon, but not every week. And I saw this guy with double chins and big fat belly, and I was transported back to seeing me standing in Las Vegas doing that presentation for the Mark Fell workshop, and I didn't like what I could see. He was awful. I don't like that guy. Now, I knew I needed a change, but I also knew that the fact that diets weren't going to work. I tried them before, it just didn't work. The gym was never going to work. The gym for me was something I would just go along to the gym, write a check with some unspoken agreement that I was never going to take back. never talk about it again. But through osmosis, because I joined the gym, clearly I already felt fitter. I was kidding myself. Not that went on. But I knew that I had to change. I needed to do something different. And I knew that I couldn't do just the standard things, because obviously I had the condition. There was going to be no books. There was going to be no roadmap for me. I needed to find something that was going to work. So my initial thought was, right, I need to cut back what I'm eating. Sounds like a diet, right? But I need to figure out a way that I can sustain this. So I started cutting back on a few of those snacks and treats that I liked, and after a little while, I started to see a difference. I was losing a few pounds. Yeah, when I stepped onto the scales that first time and saw 18 stone 4. But then when it got down to 18.4, success. Right? And then I went down again. And then I thought, well, if I'm going to do this, because I've now created this habit around not eating the right things, or not eating the wrong things, maybe I need to get healthy and figure out this whole thing going on with my body, with the health of my back, etc. So in the UK, the National Health Service, when I did the research, have this thing called Active 10. Now, Active 10 is if you're totally unfit, overweight, don't do any exercise, me, doing 10 minutes walk a day, or doing 10 minutes walk 7 times a week is better than doing nothing at all. I thought, well, okay, I'll give that a go. And there was an app that you could put on your phone. I thought, brilliant, okay, I don't even have to monitor it. The app is going to tell me when I've done my 10 minutes. Cool. Now, my first thought there was this. My back. When I take that first step out of the house, what if my back goes? Or even worse, what if my back goes when I'm out walking around? But then I chatted to myself and said, well, how bad could that be? At the very worst, I'm going to be 5 minutes away from the house. Probably don't want to crawl back, but I can probably get back. I can probably phone Andrew to come and get me. But I'm only going to be 5 minutes away. So off I went trotting on that first day. And I got all the way round and I thought, wow, check the app. 8 minutes. I didn't even get the tick. Well, I did 8 minutes. I was totally frustrated, and I gave myself, I went in, had a cup of tea, and said, you know what, I'm going back because I've got to do the 10 minutes. So I went and made the walk a little bit longer, and came back, and 11 minutes, brilliant, I'll take that. So I got my first tip. I thought, well, I'm not going to do this every day, I'll just do it a couple of times a week. Well, after a couple of weeks, I was doing it every day. And that was about October last year, beginning of October, and I've walked every single day since then. 10, 15 miles every day. Wow. 5 to 10 miles before breakfast. Every single day. And the weight started to go, because I read this other article, it said, if you consistently do this one thing, walk, what will happen is you'll lose weight. Brilliant. Let's do that. So I tried it, and I did this every single day. And by the time I went to Vegas in March this year, and met up with my good friend Bill, I'd lost 45 pounds. Everyone was complimenting me, you're looking good. I'm feeling good. They said, you've lost so much. Me and Bill had a conversation. We often had conversations about health and how it's getting exhausting doing the job we do and the toll it takes on your body, etc. And Bill said, yeah, I'm inspired by what you're doing. I think I need to do something. Well, by the time I got back from Las Vegas, I was preparing to go to another conference, which was the following week. And it was Saturday morning, and I opened up Facebook, and there was Bill walking on Facebook Live, or had been walking. I was watching the replay. And Bill, by mistake, thought he was talking to me. Not live, live is everybody. And he said, Alan's inspired me, I'm going to do this for 365 days. My initial thought was, that's just crazy. Because when I started doing the walking, no one knew. If I'd quit, it's easy to quit, right? No one would have known. I could easily quit at any point along the road. But Bill had just told the world he's going to. So I'm there the day after, so I'm thinking, well, what can I do to help Bill? What can I do to help my friend? I'm going to have to do it too. But first I'm going to have to figure out how this Facebook Live thing, how you do it. So I hadn't done Facebook Live at that point. And then I went on to the first Facebook Live and I said, yeah, saw Bill doing this yesterday, I'm here now, I'm going to do it for the next 365 days as well. Now by that point I was going to be very public at this point. My other takeaway was the fact that if I just get up every morning and do a Facebook Live and be a bit of a dick to Bill and say, look, I've done it, still got to do it, he's not going to have to back out. He's not going to be able to go, I'm not feeling like going, because I'm going to go, yeah, I did it, it's your turn. So that carried on, and because of that, we created on Facebook a hashtag 365walks. And suddenly DJs from around the world, DJs from Australia, DJs from New Zealand, from Canada, from the UK, from all over America, were doing these walks and looking to us for inspiration. I didn't do it for that. I was just trying to be a better version of me, but somehow we'd started to inspire other people. And they were looking towards us, and I thought, oh, this is kind of cool. Now, one of the things that happened on this doing the health thing and actually losing the weight that I didn't see in a country mile coming was when I started to feel better about myself physically, I started to feel better about myself mentally. Actually, when I looked in the mirror, I actually liked the guy that was looking back at me. And that hadn't happened for probably 30, 40 years. I never liked my self-image. I was always very conscious of the fact that, tall, lanky guy. At some point I was skinny, and then the fact that I didn't like that guy. But then I was starting to go, actually, that guy's okay. I'm alright with that. I started to think, well, if I've done this, what else can I do? So I thought, well, okay, I've done this and created this habit around walking. I've created this habit around eating the right things. And then I had a realization, I've been doing that all my life. Even from the very first time that I was DJing, I just did a thing, because we start off doing things that we love doing, and just keep doing it. And it was creating these habits. So what other habits could I actually do an intentional habit? Because I hadn't even thought about this as a habit. And I read this article and saw a gentleman called Brian Dodge who did a presentation in Las Vegas when we were there. And he talked about anything you do for 21 days or more becomes a habit. You do it consistently for 21 days, it becomes a habit. After 69 days, it's embedded. It's not what you're doing, it's what you are. And I've been struggling, and thinking about the health, thinking about the wellness, etc. Sugar was my kryptonite. I'd managed to go from 2 teaspoons of sugar into a cup of tea, down to 1, down to a half, down to a third. At the end of the 21 days, if it still tastes horrible, it tastes horrible that first day, I can always go back to sugar. And my son grew up. Around the 21st, 22nd day, made me a cup of tea and made a mistake with sugar in. It tasted awful. It tasted worse than it had when I first realised I was not going to have sugar. What had I done? So I created this habit and actually detoxed. I wasn't having sugar anymore. So what else can I do? So I started doing these memes every day. So well, I'll just do a meme and put something positive into the universe, and so I put something positive in the universe, something positive may happen for me. So I started doing the memes every day. I posted them up on Facebook. When I get back from my walk, I would do that. I'd do that. And I did that for about a month. And then the light bulb went on again. Most of the things that happened in my life were never intentional. Sometimes I figure it out, sometimes I don't. But I realised the fact that 2 things were happening every day that were never happening before. Things were happening to me that I believed were not possible for me, that positivity within my life. Because I was forced to, when I walk around on Facebook Live, to not just go, yeah, I'm still walking, yeah, I'm still walking, to actually think of something constructive and coherent to say to those that were listening. With the means, I was being forced to come up with a positive thought every day morning. And that positive thought initially was just a thought that was going to affect my day. But then I was finally getting feedback from people that were either agreeing, being inspired by it, or arguing. I love arguing. They were arguing with me that I was wrong. And that forced me to then not retaliate, but come back with a constructive, positive answer. And they were forcing me to be positive against their negative. And these things were shifting. The things that I didn't think were possible in the past, by just creating those habits, were becoming possible. I never thought from day one that I was that much of a good DJ. I didn't think I knew what I was doing. I started looking through the world through other people's lenses of what I was doing. And I started reaching out to my couples and my clients and asking them what they thought. And they voted for me in the awards. When I was at the awards earlier this year in January, our second time of attending the national awards, we'd won the previous year the highly commended, the suck award. Because you have to explain to everybody what highly commended means, and of course they assume everyone that got through to the finals is highly commended, so, and then you have to dumb it down and say, it's kind of second place, which isn't what it is. But this year, we were at the awards. All these years, still having the same doubts, same fears, the same worries about, well, you know what, it's okay being this, but I'm still worried about how am I going to pay the bill next month? How's the mortgage going to be paid? I still have those fears every single month, even though to some I'm at the top of my game. I still have those things. But suddenly they read out the winner. And they walked down the staircase. Previous year, when I walked down the staircase, the only thought in my head was, well, my back goes and I fall down the staircase. On this occasion, wow, we've won. All this hard work, all of these things that I've always been doing have all kind of lined up. And suddenly, this has happened. The thing that I never believed was possible has suddenly appeared to me. I've won this award. So I got the award, had my photo taken, went back, had a little interview, came out, and then my phone rang. It was Bill. Congratulations. Thanks, Bill. I'm really great. So what next? Really? So, and rightfully so. Suddenly I've realised, yeah, I haven't arrived. This isn't the end of the journey. This is just another step. Those things that I didn't think were possible became possible. The things that I didn't believe I even deserved were showing themselves to me. Suddenly I was the National Wedding DJ of the Year. Suddenly other DJs and professionals were looking to me. How did that happen? But all that happened is because of one little thing. I created a habit. I created a habit of positivity, which meant that the possible or impossible became possible. And once I understood that, the world was over. Today, I'd like to leave you with something. So have a think for a second, something that you're trying to achieve within your business that you're struggling with. And maybe your business could be your life. That one thing that if you change that, the world would be a better place. Doesn't need to be a big thing. You can go high, go for the, that magic wand. If you could change one thing now about yourself, what would it look like? Now, think about if you had to do one little thing every day to get to that thing in, say, a month, 21 days, let's just make it simple, put it in a chunk of a month, that you could do. And now, when we wake out later, find an accountability partner. Find someone that you can just reach out to each day, each week, and say, that thing I said I was going to do, I did it again today. And do it for a month. And at the end of that month, and my contact details I'll post up onto your page, reach out to me, tell me how you got on. And at the end of the month, think about that one. Because that's how simple it really is. It's that simple. Once you commit, you do something. We sometimes in life think that it's going to be harder than it ever is going to be. But most of the time, it's just that first step. That first step out the door to get the walk. That belief that, you know what? What's the worst that can happen? Let's have a go. And we find that the impossible becomes possible. And I can here to testify to that because if I can do it, so can you. So thank you so much for inviting me today. Thank you for giving me your time. It's been an absolute pleasure.
I can't wait to bring some habits in. No, thank you so much. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
Alan, we want to welcome you to Minnesota.
Thank you.
With one of our official bags here.
Oh,
What's
thank you.
inside
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank
Thank
you for being here.
What's inside is very special.
Thank you. Thank you.
Definitely, yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you once again.
I know. Welcome. All right. Thank you, everybody. We can all head upstairs, grab some coffee if you want some down here, but we're gonna head up to the third floor for the main event. Thank you for being here today for our first Collab Lab. We really appreciate it, everybody. Bill. We're gonna get a picture. You wanna come in?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Think about it.
And then one more back. Alright, 1, 2, 3, right.
Thank you.
We'll try to get some upstairs.
Thank you.